ATP, what it do with your boy Clay Rain? Back at you guys with another one. As usual, salute to all my subscribers. Appreciate you guys for the support and helping this channel grow. We are moving one step at a time on our road to 3,000 subscribers. I do want to go ahead and invite you, if you haven't done so already, to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit your bell icon so you are getting alerts when all this content is dropping. And by the way, don't be scared to give us a thumbs up. It's helped us get into the algorithm in front of the eyes that need to see this. So back on it, Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford, guys, this is something that we're probably going to be revisiting time after time and time again as this fight builds momentum. Scheduled for September 13th, Canelo Alvarez gives Terence Crawford an opportunity at greatness as he gives him a chance to become an undisputed champion in the 168-pound division. It'll be Terence Crawford's third undisputed title. This fight is lining up to be a great fight. Press conferences rolled out. We have one more press conference on Friday, I believe. This one should be in Las Vegas. And these guys will be straight up dialed in and focused on training camp, getting ready to see each other on September 13th. Interesting information comes out as Fight Hype interviews Canelo Alvarez, and Canelo Alvarez communicates to them as he's confronted with the question of a fight that would be as close to or similar to a fight as if people might anticipate possibly seeing between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. They're comparing it against Canelo Alvarez's probably most competitive fight that he fought, where he was actually just outclassed due to experience, due to him not actually being in the game as long as a veteran in Floyd Mayweather Jr., who schooled Canelo Alvarez, but at the same time, arguably gave Canelo Alvarez his stardom as he was able to catapult from that moment and be the fighter that we see today as the face of boxing. Confronted with the question of Floyd Mayweather and the common denominator between Floyd Mayweather and Terence Crawford, he says, listen, in all reality, he says, I don't want to compare old fights. This is a new fight, new opportunity, et cetera, but says, you know, if he had to, he'd probably edge Terence Crawford out as far as talent or skill-wise is concerned with Floyd Mayweather. Now, I'm sure a lot of people would push back at that idea. Most people would give Floyd Mayweather's flowers. I mean, this guy's like 50 or 51-0, undefeated, fought some of the best fighters and maybe all the fighters that were available except for a handful, like maybe a Paul Williams or something of that nature. But when you think about it, and when you think about Miguel Cotto, Shane Mosley, Oscar De La Hoya, when you think about all these different fighters that Floyd Mayweather fought against, you know, his resume will be hard to match up. And we know, and I'd have to say and co-sign that Terence Crawford's resume doesn't come close to Floyd Mayweather's resume, in my opinion, but maybe a couple more accolades, being that Terence Crawford is a two-time undisputed champion, four-weight class champion. I mean, he's accomplished a lot, and his career is not over, right? Him becoming a three-weight class undisputed champion would make and compound and add even more to the accolades he's earned in the game. But skill set wise, confronted with the idea of, at that point in time, Canelo Alvarez not having the experience, would he be able to beat Floyd Mayweather with the experience he has now? Who is Canelo Alvarez today in comparison to he was back in 2013 or 12, whenever that was when they actually fought, right? But Canelo Alvarez, without a doubt, taking into consideration that fight and saying, yeah, that fight was great, but this fight's going to be different because I have a lot more experience now. Well, the question comes, and, you know, when confronted with the actual caliber of fighter and who Terence Crawford is, he's dismissed Terence Crawford to a degree, referring to his resume and scrutinizing his resume, as a lot of people have done in the past when the conversation comes to Terence Crawford, questioning his resume, maybe even questioning you know, his skill set as far as, or maybe even experience, right? We'll say experience as far as being able to match up with Canelo Alvarez's experience. Well, sometimes, guys, on the surface level, it's about the eye test. Sometimes the resume isn't going to match up. But I think the eye test says that Terence Crawford is a special fighter. And the question in my mind has always been, is Canelo Alvarez, how are you looking at Terence Crawford? Because when you're talking about two great fighters getting in the ring with each other, we have to always remember that they're so close as far as in potential and what they can do, that a lot of times it comes down to the small intangibles. The smallest little differences may make the difference on who's going to take the fight. In this case scenario with Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, I would say that both fighters have to not underestimate each other and definitely not overestimate each other. Giving each other too much respect in the ring may not look well as far as the performances are concerned. These fighters can both slip through the cracks by overestimating a fighter, and maybe being a little too reserved, but at the same time underestimating either one of these fighters with each other may result in both these guys making big mistakes that leave openings for early stoppages in this fight. So there should be a balance. And what it comes down to is belief in what you are and who you are at that moment, because these guys can train as much as they want to train and do all the things they want to do. But I have the belief that who you are is who you are at a certain point in your life. You get to a certain point in life where, you want to say that you learn something every day and you're always open to correct anything wrong and always be the best version of yourself on a day-to-day basis. But as the years compound and pass by, you are who you are. And who you are got you to the big show. So whoever Terence Crawford is, you would think he'd have to have faith in all the work he's done all over the years, that everything he's ever done as far as boxing is concerned is culminated to this one moment in time to where everything could come together and he has all the tools necessary to execute the plan that needs to be executed in order for him to get the victory. Same thing goes with Canelo Alvarez. Maybe the worst thing that either one of these guys can do fighting each other is changing their game in the 9th inning. Canelo Alvarez coming into this fight, potentially changing who he's been and how he's gotten here in the 9th inning, may be his undoing. Could derail the undisputed super middleweight champion. But at the same exact time, does Canelo Alvarez prepare for this fight the same way he did for, let's say, an Edgar Berlanga or a Jaime Munguia, right? Or maybe even a Caleb Plant or Jamel Charlo? No. I would say that there's going to be a custom strategy based off of the strengths and weaknesses of the fighter they have in front of them, Terence Bud Crawford. Clearly, the same thing falls in line for Terence Crawford as far as how he's going to deal with preparing for Canelo Alvarez. He can't fight Canelo Alvarez the way he fought Errol Spence. He can't fight Canelo Alvarez the same way he fought Sean Porter. He can't fight these guys the same way that he fought Madrimov. He has to come up with something custom for Canelo Alvarez. Now, we add to that and say that what does that come down to? It's adjustments. Who's had to make the adjustments mostly in their career? Who's able to make the most adjustments? Whose plan B, C, D, and E are going to be in place and set up for just in case the plans before them, the plan A doesn't work, the plan B, the plan C doesn't work? I think Terence Crawford, without a doubt, checks those boxes. We've watched him adjust in multiple situations where he was confronted with adversity and was able to adjust in the heat of the moment and be able to come out on top. We saw him fight against Israel Madrimov and prepare for a fighter who's going to be strong, come forward and be the stronger fighter, but ended up turning out being the irky jerky fighter, the jump around and box fighter, the lateral movement and great footwork fighter. And we watch Terence Crawford weather that storm, figure that out, and build something while the fight was going on to be able to pull out a victory in a decision, 12-round fight against Israel Madrimov. We watched him fight against a Sean Porter who put him in a situation to where he may have been behind on the cards, as his corner was letting him know that you may not be winning this fight. And we saw him adjust inside of seconds and end a fight against a Sean Porter who had never been stopped. We seen him get put down and take it and put down fighting against Gamboa or fighting against Mean Machine. We watch him do things and watch him come out on top, whether he had to switch from southpaw to orthodox and all the different things. When it came down to being put in those scenarios, when it became challenging, when he was faced with adversity, Terence Crawford was able to adjust. Now, when we're talking about Canelo Alvarez, when faced with adversity with Floyd Mayweather, he didn't have the answers. When faced with adversity with Dimitri Bivol, he didn't have the answers. Shoot, when faced with adversity with Erislandy Lara, it was a very, very competitive fight where a lot of people walked away feeling like he lost that fight, that Erislandy won the fight. Canelo Alvarez has had the opportunity to go up in weight class and fight a certain kind of fighter for a long period of time in the second half of his career. Going up and fighting at the super middleweight division or at the middleweight division or even going up to light heavyweight division, he was faced with bigger fighters. He was always faced with the adversity of having to fight these bigger fighters and be the stronger puncher. But did that give Canelo Alvarez the adversity he needed to do to have to make adjustments in all the fights that he had there? When he was confronted with a big fighter like Dimitri Bivol, who stayed on his toes and boxed more, he didn't really have the answers. He wasn't able to quite deliver or come up with a strategy that was going to work in that moment to win too many rounds in that fight. To be honest with you, Dimitri Bivol not only won the lion's share of that fight, but dominated Canelo Alvarez in so many different ways. Now getting in the ring with somebody like Terence Crawford, who will adjust, who will switch, who will do whatever he needs to do inside of the ring. Very similar to, let's say, a Floyd Mayweather or Erislandy Lara. How is Canelo Alvarez going to approach this situation? How is he going to train and be ready for this? Will he be able to cut the ring off? Will he be able to get the timing right? Will he be able to be better at the time and a better counterpuncher than Terence Crawford? Will his speed be there? There's a whole lot of questions that are on the table and a whole lot of boxes that are going to be needed to be checked for either one of these guys to walk away with the victory. I think the casual fan mindset is that Canelo Alvarez is the bigger puncher and the bigger fighter, and this is something where if Terence Crawford is not able to get the respect from Canelo Alvarez by punching him hard enough to making him be a more reserved fighter, or forcing him to fight the fight that he wants him to fight, that Terence Crawford doesn't have a real clear route to victory. I think that's fair. I can understand how a casual fan would see that. But there's something about the sweet science of boxing, and there's something about special fighters doing special things. And that's one of the great things about this fight that I'm going to be looking forward to see. I'm looking forward to see special things happen. And I'm looking forward to see casual fans and fans of boxing who don't get an opportunity to see the best fight the best, or haven't had the opportunity to see some of the legendary fights I did when I was younger, and see a fighter get an opportunity to do something special, to open the eyes and open the landscape of the possibilities in boxing. And power is a great thing. IQ is a great thing. But when you bring it all together, it's the best thing. And stylistically speaking, this fight has all the elements needed to be one of those fights that may reshape your mind as far as what you think great boxing looks like. I look forward to seeing it. Now, we got to hope that Canelo Alvarez, and believe that Canelo Alvarez has enough professionalism and enough experience in the game to know the worst thing he may ask himself to do is to relive a moment he had years ago with the Floyd Mayweather. But at the same exact time, as I stated earlier, he doesn't want to underestimate Terence Crawford, which it doesn't seem like he's doing when he says something like what he said about comparing him to Floyd Mayweather. But if he overestimates him, then does that hurt his game plan and hurt his ability to execute a game plan with the mindset and the memory of what happened years ago when he just was a young lad at 23 years old trying to make a spot for himself against a legend in the making, who was probably already a walking legend at that point, in a 36-year-old Floyd Mayweather Jr. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see this come together, to say the least. But you guys let me know what you think. Canelo Alvarez saying Terence Crawford edging out Floyd Mayweather in skills. Well, how do you feel about that? Is Canelo Alvarez giving Terence Crawford a little bit too much respect in that statement? Or is that exactly the way he needs to be looking at this fight? Terence Crawford, somebody who has everything to gain and nothing to lose. Maybe he might bet on Canelo Alvarez underestimating him. But at the same exact time, overestimating Terence Crawford may put Canelo in a position where he's not able to be who he's been his whole career. Guys, let me know what you think in the comment section. It's your boy Claymore Rain. Once again, salute to all my subscribers. Thank you for the support. If this is your first time tapping into the content, take an opportunity to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit your bell icons, and make sure you are getting alerts when all this content is dropping. And for sure, remember to hit the likes, thumbs up before you walk out of here. Let's help this channel get a little more eyes on it. I appreciate all you guys in advance. And until the next one, guys, you know how we carry it. It's that ATP. And at this point, we out.